I was running for president, my campaign staff would always be terrified when I take the microphone. They didn't know what was going to come next. First of all, thank you for coming. I want to actually talk a little bit about, I'm not going to talk for a long time, we're going to hear from you. I want to talk a little bit about what this election meant and then what we have to do afterwards, because it's real. The election was really fun. I mean, an awful lot of people got incredibly energized. Governing is not so much fun. And we're going to talk about that and what our obligations are. But let me tell you a little bit about the election, because I think it's kind of interesting a year later to know what happened. This is the first election in my lifetime where more people under the age of 35 voted than voted who were over the age of 65. Barack Obama is your president, in the same way that John F. Kennedy was mine. Now, I wasn't even old enough to vote when John F. Kennedy came in, but he is a president of a new generation, of an under 35-year-old generation that thinks differently and expects different things from government than my generation did. One of the core messages from your generation to mine is, would you stop fighting about the things you've been fighting about for 35 years and get something done?
Yeah!
Now, I don't apologize for being confrontational, because when we were growing up, you had to be really confrontational. Civil rights, Vietnam, women's rights, gay rights, all these things that really had to be changed in the society, and they were, and the society was very polarized, and it's still polarized today in my generation. But your generation wants something different. Your generation is very willing to work with people who don't agree with you and be much more civil about your disagreements, for the most part, than mine has. And I think that's a good thing, and I think from what's going on in Washington, we badly need that. Now, you may wonder if your generation just elected a new president, why is it that things are going on in Washington? Washington is always the last place to learn what's going on in the rest of the country. They always figure it out last in Washington, because they have this little culture where it's all about them. Well, we got a little news for them this next coming election. It's not all about them. And some of them are coming home to stay here for a long, long time. We like that idea. Now, of course, we can't go and do that in New Mexico because they're all over the Democrats, and we like the Democrats. But the land commissioner needs some time off.
We agree.
So, we go to Washington because of a new president, and all of a sudden things grind to a halt. We don't get health care reform and this and that and the other thing, and this kind of lets the air out of the balloon. Well, there's two lessons from that. First of all, the Republicans can't run anything, but they are incredibly good at opposition. And they basically said no to everything. Their agenda is no. It's a brilliant message. And you don't even put your message into one word. It's terrific. No! No! Anybody have kids here?
Yeah.
Remember when your kid was 2? No, no, no. No, no, no. When you're 2. No, they were 2. No, 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 no. Well, unfortunately, when you govern, you actually have to be more mature and actually run something, and that's what we're going to do. But I think one of the lessons that was learned over the last year and a half is in order to push through change, don't forget about the people who sent you there. Don't forget about the people who wanted change. Change is the important thing. When you get to Washington, it's important not to play by the Washington people's rules, because nobody else in the whole country plays by Washington rules. And that's what we've got to make sure that we can rekindle as this election cycle comes up. The interesting thing, I want to tell you about Scott Brown's race in Massachusetts, because it's really interesting. And it's not so good for the Democratic Party right now, but for different reasons than most people think. 18% of the people who voted for Scott Brown were Obama supporters. Of those people, 57% thought there ought to be a public option in the health care bill, and 80% thought that the bill didn't go far enough. We polled Obama supporters who stayed home and didn't vote in that Senate race. 86% of the people thought there ought to be a public option, and by 6 to 1, they thought the health care bill didn't go far enough. This is not where you need to move towards the center. The problem here is there is a populist anger at what's going on in Washington, and the right side of the political equation is energized and goes out and votes, and the left side of the political equation is demoralized and they stay home. Or they even go so far in some cases to vote for somebody they don't agree with in order to send a message to Washington. That is what this is about. Now let me talk to you for a second about our responsibility in this. When you get disappointed, and when things don't go the way you wanted them to, that is not the time to stay home. And it's not the time to drop out of politics. I talk a lot about the differences in generations in politics. And, you know, I'm proud of the things my generation did, and I just named some of them. And it was really an extraordinary. The country is a lot different, I think a lot better off because